Hello and welcome to Esther's Table. I have these two lovely folks right here.
What's up?
Hi, I'm Chelsea.
I am Lawson. Hello.
And I'm Melissa. And today...
And this is Nick.
This is Nick, who
Just
is
kidding.
not here today.
He'll be here soon.
He'll be here soon. He had an appointment. But I'm so excited to talk to them today about specifically how leading a home in the roles that God has created us to play and how you guys have learned to do that, learned based around how you grew up, what that looked like prior to marriage. Now you integrate it in marriage, and what it looks like to have a strong woman that you have to lead. And there's so many different ways of going about this, but I was just like really praying about this. And I just felt like the Lord is like, I will speak through them. This one's going to be easy.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, here we go. So it's not always easy to shepherd a home and a flock, but especially when you are raised in a home where you are an independent woman. Mm-hmm. And so if you guys wouldn't mind sharing first and foremost your backstory of how you met and then where you were spiritually when you met.
Ooh.
Yeah, that would be great. Lawson, you can start.
Oh, okay. Where we met, when we met. So technically, we have known each other our entire lives, but not really. Chelsea's a bit more mature than I am, established, distinguished, older than me, however you'd like to put it.
By how many years?
5.
Okay.
Which makes more sense of saying why we didn't really know each other. But we went to the same school our entire lives, but she was several grades above me, and so we would never actually have any interaction. But she was really, really good friends with my cousin. So that would be another reason of why I would see her though at my cousin's birthday party or this or that or a sports game or something.
He knew me. I didn't know him. I'm being honest. You don't know the people younger. They're like little kids.
Yeah.
I didn't know you that well. I'm telling you. I just knew you're that girl. Anyways.
I'm that girl.
I didn't mean that in a positive way. It wasn't that girl. It was that girl. Anyways, fast forward many years. I'm 22. Mm-hmm. I am sitting at a brewery with my friends, and I see a lady standing over there, and my friends are like, oh, look at those girls over there. And I instantly recognized Chelsea, and I was basically going to be like, oh, look at me. I'm going to pretend like I'm so sly and just going to go up and talk to this group of girls, but it was because I already knew one of them was standing there.
Right.
So I walked over and I said, hello. And then we just kind of slowly rekindled through that of we exchanged not even phone numbers, I think Instagram or something.
I'm gonna jump in here a little bit. So first off, it was on a Hugh fit. So I was like, how to go to a birthday party.
Explain. No one's gonna know what that is.
No, I know. I'm looking at Melissa, so she understands. That's all that matters.
It's a
she
diet.
Understands. I wasn't drinking. We were at the time. I was just it was my roommate's birthday. We just became roommates really recently. I didn't even know any of these people that I went to this with. So he's coming up trying to be cool. I'm I don't even know these people. I don't know any of her friends. I only know my roommate. We just met, by living together through another girl. And so he comes up to me and immediately I'm like, he's never spoken a word to me prior to this.
Did you recognize him or
yes,
didn't even
immediately.
know him? Oh, okay.
But it was he looked, when he I haven't seen him in so many years. He was like a pipsqueak before, and then he looks like this now, like a grown person.
Beefaroni.
Yeah, beefaroni.
For context, I was extremely, extremely quiet growing up in high school, and not because this is so stupid. Not because I was nervous or anything like that, but I think I was trying to play that seething, sophisticated, mysterious type thing of I was just always I don't know, I don't even care. That was kind of my personality in high school. Just very whatever.
Quiet.
Yes, quiet, chill, didn't care to myself.
But his cousin's house, I remember the last time I saw him, I was in college and we were visiting and hanging out, and he was in the corner saying nothing. It wasn't mysterious. So it didn't come off that way. I was just oh, he must be a shy little I don't know. And he was still lit, small.
I would have been 18 at the time.
Yeah, small. And so we met, he was 22, was a bunch of years, like a lot has changed. He matured and like physically.
Had a growth spurt.
Yeah, like
yeah,
guys can grow till like they're 23. It's the thing. And so I literally like saw him and I recognized him immediately. And I'm like, he's talking to me in my head. I'm like, we never had a conversation ever. But I always found like in environments like that, there was always times people you run into that you're like, oh, hey, so he just so confidently talking to me. And I'm like, you speak like this? And then he told me what he was doing with his friends. And I was like, oh, I can help you, but I can't. I don't know any of these people.
Yeah.
And so then we started following each other on social media on Instagram. And like, this was like, I don't even know, a month before we ended up hanging out. I went on a run and I ran into like the biggest snake. And it was crazy. It was in the middle of the road. It was a massive snake. And I remember taking a video of it and posting it, which I never like post a lot. I'm pretty private in a lot of those things, but I thought it was insane. Mm-hmm. Guess who commented on it? This guy.
I'm really into wildlife. I'm
Yeah.
really concerned about it.
No.
We told you how much he loved animals.
He was
last
naming the
episode.
type of
No, but to be
snake. He's
fair-
like, I've never seen one of those type of snakes in that area.
Because it's super bizarre. You're basically in like a really small, actually like a large town center that's just a bunch of townhomes, little walking paths.
Yeah.
It was a rattlesnake. It was
Yeah.
like a 4-foot long rattlesnake that you took a photo of sitting on a path. I'm like, that's insane.
I now understand that now, how significant that was too. But fast forward the story.
God was saying, warning, rattlesnake.
Yeah, that's what it was saying. And he responded, but I thought he had a girlfriend. So I was like, okay, like whatever. I did some snooping. And I snooped a little bit. And I was like, oh, they're clearly not together anymore. I'm like, okay, well, that was just like in my mind. So then a month later, it was like Thanksgiving. And his cousin came in town and we hung out. And he was invited. And I was like, oh, okay. And we hung out. And then like 2 weeks later, I get this text message because he got my number, and he goes 2 weeks later. I got off of social media. I got off of everything. I had this like moment around Thanksgiving where I was like, I need to rid myself of it all. I'm tired of this world and all the distractions. So I was like, if he wants to talk to me, he'll find a way, because he had my number. So I was like, you can stop texting me on Instagram, like messaging on Instagram. If you want to talk to me, he will. I don't care otherwise, God, like to anybody. And then he texted me being like, guess what? My photo got tagged in. It was the gym I worked at. And he's like, oh, I guess that's a sign I need to come work out. And I'm like, but you live a town where there's this gym right there. Why would you come to here? You can jump in that one.
That truly happened. I'm not kidding. Like
He keeps
CC acts
saying
like whatever. No, truly, I was like posting a photo of a fish on Instagram, and it was like tag location, and it said Hugh Gardens, Palm Beach, or whatever. Which I've never been there, but I must have been because we've talked about it. Or I bet like she said she worked there, and I probably looked it up or something on my phone. But then it recommended that location, which I was like actually kind of really weird. That
Yeah.
it did that. Yeah. But she doesn't believe me, but it happened. I promise.
And then he came in and he worked out, and he just kept asking me like, hey, what are you doing today?
And I impressed her with my athletic prowess.
Our first date technically was his mom invited me to do her class that she taught, and she asked me out basically for him. But to be fair, he did multiple times. But the whole time I'm like, this isn't a date. This isn't a date. And I was really weird about it. I don't know why. I know that there was.
Oh, you said that? This is not a date, or he said this?
I didn't want him to pay for me.
Yeah.
Because we went to dinner after, and I was like, I don't want to do that.
Why?
And I paid for it.
Because I left my wallet in the thing, so I couldn't.
But like, why were you feeling that way?
Because at the time, I always felt like you would lead someone the wrong way if you were allowing them to do it. I had a problem with allowing someone to like just be nice to me. Obviously anyone could go look up the video on my sisters on why, but like with my dad, like, but there was always a catch if someone's going to do something. And I was just like so done with men treating me poorly. And I chose poorly men, but like I was so done with that I was like, I'm drawing a line in the sand. You don't have control in this. You can't say you did this and then like force me down like this path of like this is what we're doing, and it's like playing around. Mm-hmm. I was so serious that I knew the Lord was like going to bring me and my husband, and I wanted to just date, marry, and like start that I was so tired of the flimsy dating. And so I was like, I'm willing to wait for my husband and not have a 22-year-old. I was 27. I was like, you want something different. And that's not fair for me to say, because it wasn't what he wanted, in terms of like, I just assume you're 22, you just want to mess around. I'm not here for that. And I said that on our first date when he dropped me off. I was like, look, I'm not trying to get, married right now, but that's my intention. And it was the first time I ever have said that to a guy. Like I was just so clear. I was so done with dating the kind of guys that are out there that don't want to date. They don't want commitment. They don't want this. They just want to, sleep around and do whatever. And I was just being clear. If you want that, it's not me. And I said that when we, at the end of our date.
So you clearly knew from like the get-go, the kind of woman you were about to date and maybe possibly marry. So did you notice that? Would you have looked back and thought like, yeah, she's a strong woman, she knows what she wants? Or would you have said, yeah, right, I'm going to win you over. This is a challenge I'm going to accept.
D, all of the above.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. All right. So then you guys meet, you guys date, and you get engaged, you get married. Let's kind of go through that a little bit. You get married, but where were you two spiritually together when you entered into marriage?
Looking back now, very mediocre. Not super committed, not really, like truly just show up to church on Sunday, bada bing, bada boom, that's it.
You talking about yourself or us?
I'm talking about myself.
Oh, okay.
I know you've grown a lot.
No.
since then,
I
too.
just, I
I'll
I
let
just
you
wanted
speak
to,
for yourself.
No, I wanted to be clear on just
Yeah.
Sorry.
For me, it was that. I was just very much a show up on Sunday. Great. Catch you next Sunday, God. Peace out. It's
Yeah.
been real. But that was also my entire childhood as well. Entire existence basically was God is on Sunday and sometimes youth group. And that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a couple conversations while we were dating that I would like bring up every so often, because to me, I knew really like within the first month of us dating, I knew that I could marry him. I knew that I loved him, that I could marry him, that his heart was just so tender and kind and nothing like I ever been. It was like a piece of knowing like this is the person. But I also wanted to make sure that my emotions weren't playing into it when it came to spiritual things. I never wanted to get in a situation like my upbringing. Not that he was like that, but like spiritually. I wanted it to be real. I wanted someone to be a spiritual leader. And I really had a lot of questions often about like what he believed in, what his thoughts are on things. I was not where I am today then. But I knew, especially coming out of the season I came out of and being very hesitant of like the first 6 months, I was still kind of like, is this it? And then we had this one pinnacle like moment where we were like a fork in the road. Like, are we going to do this? I remember we were driving home one night and I'm like, I just need to know, like, do you desire that relationship with God? I'm not saying you're perfect, you know the Bible, you know whatever. I'm just saying, is this something that we can grow together?
Is when we're still dating.
This is when we're dating. Yeah. And we decided that my church really was starting to be farther south and I really wanted community. So we decided together we'd find a new church. And that was a really cool experience like doing, and it brought up more questions. But it wasn't until like closer to us really, there was a point where he's like, yes, I want this. I want my relationship with God. And it wasn't me saying, let's go to church on Sunday. It was like, okay, we're going to church on Sunday. It wasn't even a question. And that was like, gave me continual hope, but I knew what the Lord put in my heart. And so I trusted that over, it was hard to let go of control though. Like just wanting him to see it and see it for himself. And now looking back, I'm so glad that God didn't allow me to be the one that like really ushered him. Cause I think he got to experience God in such a cool way that I could have never given him. I'm not God. And so we moved to the concept of, you know, like we were going to get married and we got, you know, that we like, that's when he asked, it was like a no brainer because I already knew where he was spiritually. And I knew God was saying like, you're both not perfect. Like you're expecting a lot when you have to work on yourself too.
Yeah. So, okay, Lawson, let's kind of go back. How was marriage modeled in the roles for you as a child? Like, how were your parents? What was your environment like? We can go there.
Well, not to air out my parents. I love my parents dearly. They're wonderful, wonderful people. I think from a Christian standpoint, at least I'll just say that my dad was a passenger on the bus. Like we grew up in, I think, like the stereotypical, I would say, seeing TV or I don't know, where it's like, what? Dad's not going to church. Why do we have to go?
Yes.
Like that type of thing. And my dad would go to church a lot, but you know, it might be a Sunday where it's like, I got too much to do. You guys go that way. We're like, well, Dad's not going. How come? Like you're gonna make us go? Mm-hmm. And it was very much that of like, Mom dragging us like, come on, put your freaking clothes on and let's get in the car and go. Mm-hmm. And that was most of our childhood. And I think we stopped going probably consistently when I was like 13. Mm-hmm. We had some family stuff happen. But, and then from like the age of 13 to 17, didn't go to church at all. Mm-hmm. Maybe every once in a while. And then when I was 17, I started going to like a youth group with a group of friends and stuff. And that got me kind of back into going. But truly, it, you know, and I ended up serving in the church. We kind of talked about that last episode. But that was truly more of a social thing than it was. Like that period of time, I don't think was growing me closer to the Lord or anything like that. At least it got me back in the space or whatever, maybe into the habit of doing it. But it wasn't anything serious. Like I was truly there to hang out with like my buddies and do that.
Yeah.
And then once that was ended, stopped going to church again for probably 3 years, 3 years, something like that. And then when Chelsea and I started dating, that's when I started going to church again.
So really your mom was like the leader of you and your siblings to get to church, to kind of
and I don't
encourage you to go there, or is it forceful?
Both probably.
Yeah.
I think it was more of, I don't want to speak my mom's like whatever. I think it probably started in a really good place and then it turned into like, get your to church or like I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
I remember there was times, like perfect example, when my brother could drive. He was like 17. He was supposed to drive us all to church and we just skipped and just like drove around and stuff like that. And then of course one of my mom's friends was like, my mom called one of her friends like, did you see, you know, my kids at church? Like, no. We got in so much trouble. And but that was
all
just
eyes on you.
It truly wasn't like we were going because like, let's go, we're gonna get filled with the Holy Spirit, it's gonna be so much fun. It was like, you go to church the same way you go to school. Like get up and go because you're supposed to.
It's part of your routine.
Yeah.
Chelsea, what about you?
Well, it was definitely there was no choice. There wasn't even a force though. I think we all just knew, we fell in line. We had a different parent authority thing going. So like we had to be dressed and ready to go, and he would give a warning, and if you missed, you would get grounded because you missed church. So like it was a lot of that, but I always felt safe at church and I loved church. Like I loved the people. So I enjoyed it. And then it became really a lot of my social and my life. And once I could drive, or before that, I volunteered every Sunday, and it was like my safety. And I say church because that's what we were talking about, but it was in those moments God had really brought people in my life that really showed me genuine love and what his love is. And I really know that we talked about it before, about having this like constant prayer for salvation. I definitely went through that for a while because I just was always afraid of not getting in like with God and or doing it wrong way. And then it wasn't until like, so that was like, I was on my own going. My dad, you know, was very, I don't even say like pun intended on this, religious about going to church. Like it was to make sure, you know, it was a reputation, seeing the people, sitting in the same seat. It was a routine. he displayed like doing some quiet time. I remember that. Like I've always remember him opening his Bible and stuff, but it was I never understood the genuine relationship with God, and the intimacy. And so when we got to the point when we were like looking at churches and stuff, it still felt like I knew that I had a relationship with God. I talked to him, like we had that, but I was still so much bondage and so much agreements and lies and things that I didn't know I had the authority to step off of. So when we were doing it, it was almost like, well, this is what I dreamed it's supposed to be as a Christian, marriage is, go to church. And, I wanted him to look at me when I was like having or we were going through something and be like, I want to pray about it. And, that was not how he was. And I wasn't I wasn't in the right place to even be that way either. So I think I desired it so much for us that I pushed that, but I also did not desire to be the spiritual leader. So it was like a really hard thing to feel like, and we've talked about it, like feel like no one's on a race and no one's like ahead, but like I was already in a different position when we were dating than he was. And I almost had to have the faith for both of us at times, like the genuine faith of like, I know God, you told me this, and that I'm not perfect and he's not perfect, but you're going to grow us. Like you're going to do this because you told me you would. So I had that faith for us, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, and I'm still trying to break it. I don't know where I got this idea or misconception from, if it was somewhere in like Bible class or church, whatever. My entire life, like I thought of my relationship with the Lord and like my walk in Christianity as this extremely intimate thing, which it is, but intimate in the way of like, no, that's for me. Like, what is wrong with you? Why are you asking me about that? Like, why are you asking me about my relationship with God? What's wrong with you? Like almost like a,
you don't talk about it.
You don't talk about it, or maybe even so in a way of someone being like, well, how's your relationship with God? Like, what am I doing that's making you think I'm doing something wrong? Like, why do you think I got this problem right now?
Right.
And like, that was almost like the idea too of like prayer time, like of the idea of now we pray together, we do all this, and it's like really beautiful. But the idea of like, we should pray together. I'm like, the hell are you talking about? Pray together.
That's just me and him, not you. You're not invited.
Yeah.
Like,
and that was a real struggle for us for getting down to why.
Like, I truly,
are you so
the root of it?
I could not tell you where I got that idea from, but that's truly how I felt of like, why are you asking about my relationship with God? That's my thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know, like almost, just something extreme.
Protective of it?
Yeah, in a way, but not protective in God, protective in like, why are you judging me and asking
I was gonna say,
why are you trying to judge my heart? Like, it's great. You don't need to know about it.
Did you ever feel intimidated with Chelsea's walk?
I don't know if intimidated, not like, oh, geez, like, I don't know if I can do that. Like, it was more just like, I think I explained this before. I don't know. If it was just like, that's her thing. Like, I'm really into this and she's really into that. Like, external things of, oh, I love, this so stupid. Like, I love the Lord of the Rings or whatever. She really likes Gilmore Girls. Like, that's her thing.
Yeah.
Like, I almost
like Gilmore Girls too now.
Gilmore Girls.
I do not like Lord of the
Gilmore
Rings.
Girls rules. You won't even give Lord of the Rings an honest try.
Yeah.
Gilmore Girls rules. Love Gilmore Girls. But it was more, I almost saw it like that, which I think is really bad, of it's a hobby or external thing of like, well, the only reason she's really into it, like way more than I am, is because that's the thing she's really into. Like, I'm not into it that way, which is bad. And I even said in my men's group the other day that I was talking to the guys in there, and I was like, have you ever gotten mad at the Lord? And it was the week that you guys had talked about like being angry at God, and you talked about like ripping notes off your wall, and you were saying like you were like, God, I'm doing this and that, and I was like, I've never done that ever. And then I was like, oh, you know what, that might be a problem, because you don't get mad at people who you're not really that close with. Like, if someone who I barely know does something annoying, and it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, when your best friend does something that really frustrates you or pisses you off, you talk to them about it. You're like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? Or your partner does. But I said to them, like, I've never been there with God of being like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? And I was like, and that's probably a problem.
Yeah.
In my world. And so No, I was never like intimidated by it because I don't think I understood it. Like I think I had a skewed perception of what it really meant. And just over the past months has that been changing for me.
So let's kind of talk about that. And Chelsea, your walk and your identity in who God is and who he has made you to be has started changing. And you get to this place and he starts pruning you and he starts breaking you. So at that place in time, you become, I would say, strengthened by him, and the ability of the intimacy within that walk with the Lord grows. And you start noticing a difference. How did that affect your marriage and that space of intimacy within the Lord, but you're now trying to encourage him?
Yeah.
What did that look like?
Yeah. So when I really started, one of the first things the Lord said to me, and I actually just explained this to him this morning, was I felt very overwhelmed that I was doing everything wrong. And with him, with God, I'm like, I'm doing all this wrong. I'm not praying the right way. I'm not saying it the right way. I'm not doing it like from what everyone's telling me I'm supposed to be.
And that came up because I said that I feel like everything is wrong.
That I'm doing everything wrong. And I had the same feeling. I was really overwhelmed with all these emotions of feeling like I wasn't good enough still for God, like doing it right. And I'm sorry. And I just went to my prayer closet and I said, Lord, like, I'm feeling all this, like, kind of thing. And I remember distinctly he was saying, I just want you to get to know me. I never asked you to do all that stuff. Those are people, and not that they're wrong, but you need to just worry about me and you and just focus on us. Just hear me, talk to me, and read my word. I have everything for you. Don't worry about all the rest of the stuff. Just like let it go. Just focus on that. So then I felt really like not convicted, but I was kind of doing 75 hard. I was doing 75 hard and had to read 10 pages a day. And I was reading books, like tons of books. I'm like, this is great. I did not spend that much time with the Lord. So I made it a point to I'm going to spend every day regardless of how I feel with the Lord. And it just grew my heart, and my eyes, my spiritual eyes were just open. And I just kept asking for more and more. And my relationship with him grew. Well, alongside of this, like I'm married and I do like to share. I truly don't know I didn't live his life as I know my life and I can kind of see some of his life, but communication's a really big thing for me. And I always said, I want that to be a priority, even if it makes you uncomfortable in terms of like, you never understand, like you didn't talk that way with your family. Well, I didn't talk this way either. So we're like, but I do feel like we need to always be honest and air things out. And so like I would share with the things I was going through or feelings, even if he didn't understand, but I didn't share everything. And then someone gave me a prophetic word and they're like, do you share this with your husband? And I said, no, because I think he'd think I was weird. And he's like, you need to start. He's not going to. You just need to start sharing this part, like the stuff you're learning, the stuff you're growing in. So I said, okay. And I recorded the thing that they sent, like they spoke over me. And I like had him listen to it. And I knew the part where it was coming. And he was like, okay. And he listened to it all. And he was kind of like, okay. And I love that about Lawson. Like he doesn't really like judge in that way. I don't know internally if he thought it was weird. I didn't think he did because he's very honest with that stuff, like his feelings. But it was really hard for me to realize I wasn't letting him in this way. And the Lord was wanting me just to be, instead of control and try to get him to have that relationship with the Lord, he was like, you will just be the example of what it looks like. And I'm going to break you down to the studs. And you're going to cry a lot. And I used to actually not cry. I didn't cry for years, which I thought was pretty weird, but I felt like I just cried so much as a younger kid. And I learned to like hold down those emotions, and the Lord just released all emotions and released me to feel like grow through this season. And it was distinctly this word he gave me where he's like, you need to stop trying to connect me and Lawson. I just want you to keep praying. Just pray. And I want to show you how, I want to build your faith for prayer and your faith. So I never thought I could be, I would say, a prayer warrior, but now I'm like, I want to claim that because I love going to God with prayers. And Lawson's life and what has happened has only shown me that God is way better at doing it than I am. Right. And that even though it was really hard to start sharing those things and doing things like anointing our house and praying over it. And distinctly, I never shared my prayer language with him ever because I was like, he's going to think I'm crazy. That was the last thing. And then he got sick and I was like, can I pray over you? And I just started praying praying. And then I felt like the Lord was like, you need to open up. He needs to understand it's safe, to hear what it looks like to be just surrendered to me and allow Holy Spirit to really be alive. And I remember distinctly months ago prior to even he pulled out his Bible because he said he felt like he had this word that the Lord wanted him to walk around the house and speak over because prior I was doing it. But I told him, I feel like it's not my role. I know it's not my role, but the Lord's like, you still need protection. So if he's not going to, you got to do it. And so I would. And so, but he started doing that. He started showing, and I know that was all on his choice, but the Lord was like, let me just breathe in through you and you need to die to yourself and stop trying to jump in and control things.
So how did you take all that, Lawson? And what was your breaking point?
How did I take Chelsea going through all that and basically growing and evolving spiritually? I was just proud of her. Like I said, I think at that time too, it was truly just man, that's great. That's awesome for her.
Yeah.
She's really into it. I think that's so cool. And when she would do things walk around the house praying or writing down Bible verses on things and putting them up somewhere, this or that, it never struck me as odd or weird. I was just like, cool. That's great. That's great. Love it.
Yeah.
But it didn't stir anything in me for a long time until it was this thing of, well, why aren't, the Bible says the man is called to lead the household in that way. Why aren't you doing that? And it truly was just easy to be like, I don't know. And then sat there and searched about it and kind of thought to myself, well, I guess I don't know how. I don't know how to lead in a spiritual way. Wasn't really modeled for me and don't really have great examples of it other than you would see, a male pastor or this or that. And I've had some really negative male pastor representations in my life too. So that wasn't really grasping onto me of man, I want to be like that. Because unfortunately now I think it's almost more common to associate negative feelings towards people who are on that pedestal on the stage of pastors and stuff like that than it is to have this really positive, man, I want to be like that when I grow up or this. So for me, I think it was just truly never saw a good version of it, so never really wanted it. And because I never wanted it, I never got to the point of being I got to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to figure it out. And so a big part of it was searching myself, being no, I do want that. I do. And truthfully, I think it probably starts with just being I want to be whatever my wife wants me to be, as long as it's a positive thing, I should say. My wife wants this for me, and I know that she really wants what's best for me and my family. And if she thinks this is what's best, then I got to figure it out. And so you start figuring it out, or I start trying to figure it out. And you do feel better. I will say, not to whatever, I've had a hard 4 years probably. More I don't know, past 3 years been really, really tough in just a litany of different ways. And it's probably the same time when I started trying to figure some of this stuff out. And when I began actually giving myself up a little bit to the Lord here and there, I would start to feel better. Or would feel more motivated, feel more peace. I remember one of my really, really good friends who doesn't live around here, but, checks in on me all the time. And he's not a believer, but he was like, how are you doing? I'm like, and this is when I think I really first started trying to dig in more. I was like, really, really good. And him and I talk all the time about just the struggles with what we do for work and how it's hard to be motivated. He's like, really, what changed for you? And I was like, honestly, and I told him, I was like, just been getting deeper into my relationship with the Lord, and that's really helped me and kind of clarified things for me of what's important. And maybe it's not the best intention, but I really think I started digging deeper because she wanted me to. It wasn't because I was like, let's do this, God. Maybe there was an inkling of that, but it was really like, if that's what she wants for me, and I know that she wants what's best for me, then I'm going to start doing it.
Shoot. I didn't know that.
So, my fellas, find a good woman out there.
There was a couple times I believe the Lord was really good to out on the outside bring word to us. One of them, a couple like random times, our pastor specifically talked about this right when we had conversations about it. And I knew it was from God. And there was like things about saying, he was really calling up men to be like, you are the gatekeeper of your family. If your wife is struggling, that's you. You were let something past you. And I tried to explain it one time to him. I'm like, because we were really like going through it in our house. It was just insane. I couldn't fight. It was almost like I couldn't fight it alone. And I remember explaining it like, would you let a guy come in here and walk up to me and just punch me in the face or like do some harm to me and just watch it? Because that's what spiritually we're doing. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like, this was conversations. It wasn't trying to make him feel like bad. I'm just saying, this is what's happening. That's what our pastor was actually explaining. And he explained it that way, like, you're not just going to let somebody come in. Like, this is what our pastor said. And so I agreed because I'm like, that's a crazy explanation. But I agreed. I'm like, I wouldn't let anybody come in here and touch anybody in my family without a fight, And so, and I think it's understanding that we had the authority. Like I have an authority, but Lawson has even, in my opinion, greater authority. And it was almost felt like, to me, I told him in that because I didn't want, I'm like, it's not saying like he loves me so much. He'd do anything for me. I know that. And so I'm very careful about making sure I don't place my thoughts and opinions as his thoughts and opinions. People do not understand that because they see me and they're like, oh, she probably just wears the pants to do it. I'm like, that's not what happens here. That's not what happens here because I never desired that, but I also love him so much that I want his feelings and opinions to be heard. And like, I always say he has the last say. He has the say. They say when we will talk about things, and if he asks me opinions, I'm like, here you go. But I'm like, you're gonna be the one that does it. So whatever the Lord, I always say this now. I'm like very clear. Whatever the Lord puts on your heart, I want you to just be obedient to that, and I will be okay with whatever because I'm here to serve the Lord and serve Him. And so it is grown. It was a lot of me stepping back and realizing that I'm not God and I don't know how God is specifically doing. God is giving me words that I was not able to share with him until certain points of time. And a lot of it was more for me saying, I got him. He's my son. I love him so much more than you. So like, you just have to let it be and stop. Like, so I wouldn't ever put in a position of like, making him feel bad. That was not my intention ever to make him feel bad, but and you know this, I think you're very similar to Melissa in this, that I love to understand. And sometimes like we have learned in our family, our backgrounds come out where we can get triggered by asking questions and being like, well, where do you stand on that? And as we learned, he took that as like, why are you coming at me? And I'm like, I'm not coming at you. I'm just asking, like, I don't know this about you and you're my husband. And so I think that was what the Lord did with us, was he really tenderly like peeled back the onion layers to realize our heart's desires were the same, that we both love each other, but we are going to have different relationships with the Lord, period. Everyone does. And so I had to step back and really focus on the calling of being a stay-at-home mom, which was really hard for me at the time. I worked my whole life. I was raised and shaped to work and be a provider. And God said no. And he has said no for a couple years, and I'm okay with it now, but I really wasn't okay with it. But he kept saying, how am I supposed to raise up Lawson if you're just trying to bulldoze and do it all, like take care of everyone? And I think that was a lot of him seeing me step back and allowing him to breathe and have space, and him doing it on his own. Like me not saying, you have to do this. You have to go do this and listen to God and pray. Like I was just like, okay, whatever God's telling you.
Yeah.
And it was a work, it was a work in me because I wasn't like that before. And I was dating. I was very like questioning and being like, I just need to know for myself for protection. It was self-protection. And it was like, I don't want to get into this if it's not going to be I want.
I think that the Lord gave me this picture of a real situation that happened. There was this tent event and people were getting prayed over. And it was like, nothing crazy. It was just like a really genuine moment of this older man. He has a son. He had 2 sons, one that passed away, and God spoke to him, was like, you are going to have an anointing over healing, but it's as you seek my heart, will I be able to pour into others? And his wife, who is this, like, if you talk to her one-on-one, she's filled with the Holy Spirit. You can feel it on her, but she's not out there loud, sitting there by the stage with him. All she does during these events is she puts her hand on his back as he prays over people. And she's just praying in protection of him. And it was this picture he showed me, and he was like, this is going to be you. This is you and Nick. And I was like, okay, Lord, this is before he pruned me into this role reversal that I had to be of.
Yeah.
But he was like, here, let me show you the picture of it. And then what I want you to do in the midst of getting there is to seek my heart. And when you seek my heart, you will find that you don't have to hold those protections, those shields, those guards up. You will be able to release and be at peace, to be able to pray over Nick, to be able to have him seek and draw near to you as wisdom and discernment and strength and understanding, because you know, and he knows, you guys are all aligned to me. And I think that as you say that, it is this shift of yourself releasing the control, releasing the ways of you are modeled to protect yourself, to guard yourself, because in our home, who else would? So it's viewed as strength. And trust me, we are a very fiery, fierce group of women that this Miller Girl clan came out of.
Loud.
Yes.
Loud is true.
He said we're very loud.
But deeply loyal and deeply protective. And so in the protection, it's like, you probably saw in her, she wants this for me. She loves me enough to like fight for me. She loves me enough to fight for our kids. So at like what point and how, I would say, did God tell you it's time to let go of your defenses? And then also that strength that you found in her, what was the motivation? Like what motivated you to get there too?
Well, I would say it's not something I've really talked much about, maybe other than to her. I have had almost like a complete unraveling of my life and identity over the past 1.5 or 2 years of feeling like I am slamming my head into a brick wall with every single thing I try to do ever. Like, it's unfriggin' believable. With work and what I do of like filming and YouTube stuff, just like everything feels like a uphill, not an up mountain battle to do anything. Just things would break, things would go wrong, camera equipment would malfunction. I would almost die while I'm out on my boat trying to film things, like just nonstop, like almost feeling like God being like, stop doing this. and me not listening. And that's probably like 2 years worth of, maybe longer than that. Going to the gym of being like, oh man, like I love this, like getting really into CrossFit and getting competitive and pushing myself, getting whatever. Then one day just like didn't do anything specific. Oh, my back is in agony. And I didn't do anything to hurt it, to the point where like I couldn't pick up a 20-pound wall ball, like collapsing to my knees, like in so much pain. And then I couldn't work out for, 8 weeks, and my back was in so much pain. I couldn't even fish during that time either, because I couldn't even barely stand without being in pain. Just basically a perpetual cycle of that type of thing, where like I would start to feel better and would hurt myself again, or something terrible would happen again, like nonstop. And then I think during that time, it was really being like, maybe that's the first time I ever felt maybe mad of like, what the hell? Truthfully, like what is going on with my life? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be trying to do? Because nothing is working. And, then I'm trying to sit at my computer at home to work on things. I'm going to find an alternative solution to, do what I know how to do, like making videos. So trying to work on that, and that was going really well, actually, and being like, oh, maybe this is from the Lord. And then I would say, like, our son had to have surgery and was at home for nearly like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and it was like impossible to get anything done because he was hurting, he was screaming, like I just couldn't work, essentially. And truly at my wit's end of everything. Feel like no matter what I did, nothing works at all. And I think that put me in a place of being like, all right, God, I give up. Like, I'm sorry for trying to force my way, do it my own way, do everything. What do you want? What do you want from me? I truly, like, I guess a positive way would be calling it surrender. Mm-hmm. And that's how I feel. Like, I feel in a good way surrender. But at the time was just basically like, okay, I freaking give up. Mm-hmm. You win.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like that surrendered position that you broke. And you saw that in him. You knew it all along, what God was doing. But how?
For years.
Yeah.
No, but he told me like I felt it maybe 3 years ago. But then the Lord very specifically gave me a word about 2 years ago, and I didn't even share it with you for a long time until this even came up. And but the Lord really, really worked in me to not share it and not try to be like, yeah, does it, it's so much sweeter when you walk with the Lord for you to realize it on your own. Mm-hmm. I don't even think it works the other way. It would be a force. It would be human and not like supernatural, where you experience God and you get on he wanted him to break him down to get him on his knees. Mm-hmm. And how can I do that if I'm trying to save him from falling?
And I'm still being broken down. I'm going on like 9 weeks now of having this like crippling migraines every single day. It's hard to literally be outside and do physical things for like an hour. And you both know me. I'm a very like physical, athletic person. And we were laying mulch the other day, and I was like lightheaded and winded from just like picking up 8-pound bags of mulch and moving them around the yard.
How did you hear the voice of the Lord and know it was him?
Okay, I'm not gonna make a joke. I don't know. I guess it's become this thing. I feel like I kind of hit on this last week, where when it's my own voice, it's so evidently clear of just being like, nope, that's not it. Like when I'm trying to pray and, hearing the Lord's voice is a very, very new thing to me. And before that, I think my way of hearing the Lord's voice was just like basically running into these brick walls. I was just driving over and over again. Like I wasn't hearing anything. It was just like, I've tried that every single way I know how to, and it has not worked. Great. What's next? Like, let's try that. And now it's a lot more of, praying to the Lord and trying to be very still and quiet. And it's getting better over time. But like my head is a tornado of thoughts. Like when I stop, it doesn't have to be praying. Like you could be praying and I have to snap myself in and be like, just close your eyes and listen to what she's saying. Like, I'm literally like, when you were praying before we started, like, I'm literally like looking around the room, like for no reason. And, you know, so it's been trying to be still and listen and ask a singular question of trying to find something to focus on. That's helped me, of leaning in and being like, God, what do you want for me? And trying to hear maybe a single word, because I don't think my attention span or brain allows me to hear more than that. And it's growing in that ability too. But stopping and hearing that single word and then breathing, refocusing, like, okay, so what does that mean? Like, what do you mean by that? And maybe it grows into a few more words for me. And I've found it definitely takes practice. Like, I always thought it was part of the problem with our relationship early on, and not understanding, me being like, that's her thing, not mine. Because I didn't understand that it was a earned and learned skill or relationship with the Lord. I thought, like, I don't hear nothing from God. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's not that, like, I think you're wrong. It's that, like, I guess he just, you know, he likes you more, whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, you just hear it differently than I do. And realizing that you have to put in that, you know, work to hear that. And so it's growing more and more. And so it's just like trying really hard just to ask a singular thing, and trying to expand on it has been a thing for me. And I'm still really, really learning and struggling, but learning. Because I basically feel like I've been completely broken down where I'm at right now, and might still be getting broken down. I don't know if I'm going down still, or if I'm right about to get built back up, or somewhere in between, a few more sledgehammers or studs and concrete getting laid down to start building up. I'm not sure where, though.
When you see that, Chelsea, and God's already done so much of this in you, so now you're on this other side, and you're praying up Lawson, but you're seeing him go through it. How do you encourage him and also yet not get in the way? Like, there's a fine line, I think, there, where the man has been called to be a provider. He's sitting here being like, nothing's working. You're seeing the dollars drop. It's just the reality of the situation. And all of a sudden, yet he has not called you to step in. And instead, no, I want you to be the role of the home, meaning the refuge, the mom, the nurturer, the encourager. How can you encourage him? And yet sometimes you can just see the bigger picture. Like, oh, this is where you need to go. How do you direct that in a way he can receive it and not feel like you are bulldozing?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting when you've gone through something. It's kind of like I immediately thought of like sleep training kids, how, you know, in the end of the day, it's going to be for their good, even though they might not like it, but you still have to sometimes go in and rub their back and say, shh, and go in. And I'm not claiming him to be a baby. I'm saying it's, you said to me when you were doing it with my oldest, you're like, man, you just like do it. And I'm like, because I know, I've seen with all your kids that it works, that it's good for them and it will be good for me. So I kind of have that mentality when I see this, is it was really hard for me to go through the same thing. And you know, we are one flesh and we get to do it again. I am so glad, because I am glad I'm on the side of being able to know that it's good. It's like you get a second kid. You already know the newborn phase, it stinks, but you're like, in terms of like sleep and whatever, you're like, but I've already seen the hope. Yeah. And so you get to experience that round two and be like, okay, we got this. And I just try to not take it ahead of myself or what the Lord says. So if it's like the day of, I'm like, let's just pray over the day and let's encourage the day. Or I try to peel him back from the ledge of unraveling in the way that I know that it's not like he's just broken. I'm just saying, like, we're okay. Our needs are met. God has us. And just honestly, a lot more scripture has been good. The Lord has really challenged me to know it more, so that for moments like that, I'd be like, no, his word said. I even hung up it. I've had it like posted around. for me, but for us. And to remind him, like, I just remind him, you know, that it's not on him. I think that's my role, is just to remind him it's on God. It's not on him. I don't expect Lawson to be my provider. God's my provider. He's the method to me. But for me, I'm like, I really believe God wants him to totally release this idea that it is on his shoulders and that he has him.
Right.
And so I just keep encouraging, like, to like kind of breathe in a little bit and remind ourselves, like, we're okay.
Yeah.
Look around. We are blessed. We have food. We have everything we need. And he's going to keep doing that because his word says he's going to keep doing that. And we are being faithful. But I think the biggest thing I've encouraged him on was you could literally, I think the thing we all need to get our heads around is you can literally sit for us, because we're all doers. So you can sit in this chair and he can make one of your videos a year ago go viral and make all the money. Like it's not by your means of going out there and doing that thing to provide. And do you have the faith? Do we have the faith that he can do that? That it's not on us. And it's really hard because our world we live in, it is on you, and you are deemed lazy to sit back. But sometimes I really believe God is wanting us to have that faith to sit back, to say, I could put out a pile of garbage for a video and he can do crazy things with it because it's not on my strength. And so I think that's kind of how I encourage him more, is like trying to like unburden him with these thoughts the enemy is trying to put on his shoulders and bring truth. That's solely what I try to speak through the dark, like the lies, and be like, we got this. It's okay. And we're going to be okay. And let's go outside and just enjoy what we have, or let's just switch the environment for it. Right? We'd say that. Maybe I'm wrong. I just know that's something that.
No, I don't disagree.
Okay.
The Lord showed me that provision, what I thought was provision being provided for, was like material, money, protection in that way, provision to protect, provision to, and he was like, it has nothing to do with that, it has everything to do with my heart. So provision is him seeking out my heart for wisdom, knowledge, and discernment, a plan, whatever that is, and seeping it into the family. And that's provision. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. Because you're just like you said, all he has called us to be still and watch. Be still and know that I am God. Know that I'm God. So I can be still in my presence, my thoughts, in my heart, in my fear, still that, and allow him to move. That video goes viral. You make money. We did nothing but be still. But
it's
we
crazy,
also make
right?
money,
you know?
right, when we have been seeking his heart and he says, go do this thing.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
what I'm not even saying that sometimes he's not saying go action, but I do feel like if you're not heart's not in the right place to go out and do the action,
Right.
It's like it says our motives is so important on the asking and the receiving of those things. And one of the biggest things I've said to him is, as his wife, as his partner, as his like, I love him probably the most on this planet, you know, maybe his mom, but I love him the most. And I just want so much good for him, is that I would rather him go and take a week off of working and just fast and seek the Lord, or just seek the Lord, and then try to go out every single day and work to the bone. Because to me, I know that the Lord is so good to give us exactly what we need. And he would give him what he needs to go then walk into in peace instead of exhaustion. And I sense that. And so I do know my role I used to see it as like weak, but I do see it as such a strong, creating a home that he wants to come home to him and be at, but also that is peace, that he doesn't have to worry about all these other things, so that he can go out and feel like he is, provided for emotionally and supported, and everything's taken care of. He said one day, he thanked me for having. He's like, I never we always can just go into I'll walk into the closet, like pantry, and I know there's always extra of everything because you are always so aware of all of that stuff.
I am too. I think it was like we had a lack of. So we always make sure we have double of.
But it's like this
so
idea is I love everything feeling that. I like that feeling.
Yep.
That I could walk in and there's a paper towel roll ready for me to grab and put on. There's dog food. I'm not without in that way. But for me, it's so natural. And for him, that's not always how he was. So he was like, just big thank you, which I was like, thank you for noticing that, because it is a lot of work. There's so much that goes into creating that type of space that allows him to not have to worry about certain things. And not all the time, like we are a team. There's things that we have to do together in the home, but to be able to be like, that's my job, that's my role, I got this, and I can do this. You don't have to think about this. Like he loves to cook. I actually like cooking, but he likes to cook more, like so much more than anybody on this planet. And he loves cooking for us. I think that that's such a blessing. But often there's times where I'm like, I got it. You had a long day, or have it ready, waiting for you to come home to. And I like sent him a photo. I'm like, this is what you're having. So he's excited to come and know he's going to be fed, he's taken care of. But that is just the physical needs.
Yeah.
I think emotional needs are even more important. And I listened to this thing about how women in our society today are really encouraged to be these strong, and they're actually like, a lot of people aren't getting married. They're wanting to be single, living
boss babes.
Yeah, boss babes.
That's right.
And it's taking away, and like anyone who would even hear if I said I'm to submit to my husband's like, I'm not trying to rise no feminist out here, but like the idea is that it's for everything in the Bible is like for our good. And I realized I wasn't raised to be a feminine person. And I didn't know what it looks like to be gentle, tender, nurturing. I had it within me, but I never understood how to like rise that up. And the Lord's like, just come to me, and I'm going to like, the more you seek joy, I'm going to give you joy. The more you seek me for peace, I'm going to give you that peace. Like, it's not you having to be that. I will make you that with like just renewing that. And so these years of me not going out and engage, because we know this. I'm the type of person, I will get a job. I will go get a job. I will work my tail off to provide. And the Lord just keeps saying no. He's like, and I look and I say, I'm so proud of where Lawson is. A lot of it is him just being obedient and listening to the Lord. A lot of it is he's fallen into these pits, and the Lord's like, I will pull you out. Are you willing to step out with me? And he is. And so I would never take back all the struggles we've gone through. Even though it was hard to sit on the sideline almost sometimes being like, I'll come in and help. And he's like, stop helping, because if I can't tear him down to build him up, he will never do it on my strength alone. Mm-hmm. And I knew that. So I do think it's crazy when I wish we could really encourage women that it is such a blessing to be able to be at home. And I've realized how much it's my job is pouring into my children and showing them what love is, but also teaching them Jesus and having these really hard moments where we have to talk about why it's important and being gentle and kind to them. And that is grown me so much more to be able to have a family that is led by him, and just nurtured through me in that way.
Do you ever have moments, which I'm sure it's a quick answer, yes, but I want you to kind of explain the moments you have when Chelsea's having a low down, like a low, hard moment and feeling discouraged, and how do you notice it and recognize it? And also, as she was, let's go there. Let's start there. How do you notice it and recognize it? And what do you do to help
look
encourage
like that
her?
meme.
Yeah.
Not very hard to recognize. I'll say that. Whether it's
I don't hide anything.
Yeah.
being her husband and recognizing the signs.
Yeah.
Or just.
She says it.
Yeah.
And then, so what do you do to encourage her in that moment?
Nothing to say, get over it, brat. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't want to. I feel like it's very easy for her to go into a spiral of here's this little thing that's wrong, but if this little thing continues to go wrong, then this big thing's gonna go wrong. This big thing's gonna go wrong. We're all gonna die. I feel like it
seems a little extreme.
Okay, we're not all gonna die, but that happens quick. I feel like
Yeah.
the just kind of like, well, if this doesn't happen, then this won't happen, and then that doesn't happen, like, whatever.
This isn't like quick in the sense of like it'll be a conversation where I can like show all the things that I might have inside that I didn't even realize. There, like thoughts I've had that I've like been giving to God, and then certain days get away with me, and I haven't gotten that time with Him like in that day, and I allow fear really in.
Yeah,
He recognizes that quick, but I'm also because I let Him know. He knows where I'm at with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do I do to help that?
I know.
What you tell me?
I know that you. What
I want you
to answer, but I know something you do.
I don't know.
You do.
What? I just try to comfort her. I don't know. Now I definitely a lot more of a natural reaction is to like reach for her and pray for her and say like, God has this, but 6 months ago, is that what I did? No.
Right.
I would just try to like help whenever.
Fix
I
the
Give me
problem.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very solution oriented when I don't want solutions. I just want a hug and like you to tell me that it's going to be okay because God has us, not because like it's like
not because I'm gonna fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, but I would say the biggest thing you do is you actually you always allow me time to like go to my prayer closet. You're like, I got the kids. Why don't you just go take alone time? And the alone time meaning like quiet time with the Lord. And I usually, because He knows it's a spiritual, like I would say you pretty much now you do that. You're very clear on being like, go have some quiet time with the Lord. Because He's like, He knows it's like an issue with that. And I will walk out being like, okay, we talked.
Yeah.
One of the times was the ripping of the little thing that we talked about, the Bible verses.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the times where He's like, I was just like feeling everything. We've been so attacked. I mean, my emotions felt so heavy. I felt tormented. I think I said that to you. I felt so tormented. Yeah. And He just was like, why don't you go have some quiet time? Mm-hmm. And I immediately like walked in and I just had that moment. So I do think He's very good about giving me the space to know that He might not be the one that solves that. Mm-hmm. And He doesn't need to be like my knight in shining armor every time I'm feeling anything. He lets me just be like, have the space to go talk to God about it. Mm-hmm. And then I come out and like in a nicer way say, okay, this is what I was struggling with. It wasn't that, it was this.
Yeah.
Like
it's
this.
Usually a root.
Yeah, it's root. It's
not
usually
like,
fear.
Hey, you messed up and got my entire house dirty again. It's usually like, what was the trigger?
Yeah.
What triggers this? What was that?
What's the real
real root?
What's the real fear here?
Yeah.
Or it's not the frustration. It's like, maybe it's not being seen, or maybe it's like for most of the time, it's a fear thing. It's a fear thing that the Lord has been unraveling so much the spirit of fear that's so deeply rooted in me that like and this is of course of the last 2 years. So we've had moments where fear will arise. And now there are times where I'm like, oh, I would have responded so differently 2 years ago. I'm really glad that like I didn't in my mind even go there, because I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I'm responding better to Him in His struggles than I would have always done that. Like I feel like you always have to pick a side. Like you're like, oh, they're struggling. I'm going to be good here and be like as good as I can be, encourage them.
Yeah.
But I feel like now I'm like so filled with the peace because He's removed that fear. And it's those moments where He has allowed me to go into my prayer closet and just talk to God.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, God, let me figure this out. Let me rid this.
This next question, I kind of want you both to answer. What would you say to women who want their husbands to lead but aren't sure how to release the control? Lawson, start with you.
Aren't sure how to release the control. They want their husbands to lead. Okay. Well, I think for a long time, it depends on the personality. I think I'm different in a lot of ways. For a long time, Chelsea was really big on like, you need to find a mentor, this or that. I don't like mentors. Like, like it doesn't work for me. Like I've tried. Like I tried having people.
That was out of the whole fact I've never known how to do it.
Yeah.
So when he said to me, I'm like, well, why don't you maybe seek someone out that anybody.
I mean,
anybody,
I know for a lot of people that really, really works. It didn't for me. I just like, and maybe it's air quotes a good thing. Like I don't I don't mean this in a whatever way. I don't really have a lot of people I look up to, like even like throughout my career wise or this or that or athletic. Like there's not people like, man, if I could just be like that, like I don't almost never ever feel that way about people. And so they like trying to find someone to mentor me. You know, they would do this, and I'm like, great, I don't care. Like I just don't. And I don't know. It's hard for me. It was truly like reaching the bottom of myself, but also, you know, my wife really being like, I want you to do this because it's going to be good for you and better your life. You know, find a deeper relationship with the Lord or step out in faith, I guess would be a good way to put it. And, you know, a big thing for me definitely was finding this group. I think has fast forwarded me or poured gasoline on the fire 10,000 times faster in the past 7 weeks than in the past 7 years. And that was finding a group of people, not necessarily one specific person who's trying to speak into me, but like getting into a group. But it has to be the right group of people and pursuing the right things, because I've tried finding men's groups in the past, and one of them was truly, and it's great if that's just what you need, but it was like a men's Bible study of show up, we're going to have pizza, and we're going to put on a video of someone saying something about something, and then we'll be like, it's like, fellas, how does that make you feel?
Yeah,
like,
right.
And one guy goes, it makes me feel personally convicted that I'm not doing a very good job. And it's like, great, thanks, Ben. All right, how about you? Like, it was truly that type of thing. And I was like, nope, that's not for me. And I tried going to a different men's group. And it's not that there's anything wrong with this either, but it was kind of like, gosh, my life sucks. Oh, let me tell you guys what I'm going through. Like, yeah, that sucks, Terry. Let's pray for Terry. All right. Like,
yeah.
And that also was not very helpful for me. I'm like, geez Louise. And so I think it requires work of finding the right group of people to be around, especially men. And I think it doesn't have to be, but for me, it was finding men around my own age, because I have gone to Bible studies that have been a bunch of dudes who are in their 50s. And I've gone to one that was guys who were like 18, 19, 20. This is when I was like 23, 24. Guys who were close to my age, but I was just at such a different period of life for me. Like, I remember going to like a young men's Bible study and sitting there. And at this time, because I didn't go to college, so I basically have been working full time for 6 years at this point, and I'm 24. And one of the kids who's 20 is sitting next to me. He's like, I just can't stop playing Xbox. Like, I need help for you guys to pray for self-control, because like I'm supposed to be doing my homework, and I just played Xbox for 9 hours today, and I wanted to like reach across the table and be like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah. Great Bible study.
Yeah. Like, it's just, you need to find people you relate to.
Yeah.
Because if
you're gonna grow.
If you're gonna grow, like, you have to have a reason to, or people who are going through similar things. And that didn't happen for me. You know, it's been, I don't know if you counted youth group, like, you know, now it's been 12 to 15 years of like groups that maybe weren't that effective. I think that's why youth group is so great for kids, because like you are all in the exact same spot. Like, you are. And there's no one who's not in the same spot as you, because, you know, youth group cuts off when you're, you know, a senior or after your senior year or whatever. And so for me, finding the right group of guys, it wasn't about necessarily being the same age, because there's dudes who are 10 years older than me, and there's guys that are 5 years younger than me, but it's about being in that relative same space, or seeking the same things. Like, we're all seeking a deeper spiritual life, and we're all kind of in a similar place of life. And I think that's really, really important. That's definitely been the biggest win for me, is and realizing too, like, you have to fight for it, or you have to find it, because it's not just going to fall on your doorstep. You know, Chelsea, it was truly just like a thing of like, Chelsea was going to go to this event that was led by this woman who also was doing this other event that, you know, she didn't actually know her at the time or anything like that, of the woman who was like putting on this event for a men's group, like hosting it at this place. And it kind of all came together in that way, but it took a lot of time to find it. And so I think encouragement for a wife would be like, try to find something, and if it doesn't feel right, don't force it. Try to find something else. Mm-hmm. Because I think that was a part of the problem too, is like I had a group that I went to for a little bit and was just trying to, but in my heart I was like, this isn't it, but I don't got anything else to do, so I might as well just keep going. So encouragement for a wife would be like, you know, it's not going to be effective. And I want to make clear, Chelsea was never like, please do this for me. Like, she never ever said that one time. But it was truly like, you know, this is going to make your life better the same way that trying to encourage someone to eat healthier or go to the gym is going to make their life better.
Yeah, something needed to change too.
Being like, I want this for you because I know it's going to be so great.
I think I only mentioned that men's group twice. It was the first time I heard it. And then I got an email. And I got an email and it reminded me like an hour before it started. And the kids were like screaming. It was nighttime, like whatever. And I'm like, I got this. If you want to go, if the Lord tells you to go, I can handle all this. Well, I'm making it, like I'll make them dinner and I'll get them down. And we ended up having such a great night. They ended up calming down. I truly believe that's crazy. It's always so hard for him to get out of the house on like Thursdays. Like it's so crazy how that works. But I always just try to hold it down so that he can get out. But I would say, cause I was definitely was that girl, I was just praying. And I know that's seems like a generic answer, but the Lord really showed me how he wanted me to give up the control before he wanted, anything else to come out. And it was me saying, I can do it instead of the Lord. And so he had to really work that out of me first before I could see that he has a better plan. He's actually going to do it. I just need to keep on lifting him up in prayer, like Lawson. And I did. I just kept praying for the last 2 years. And it wasn't that I was seeing little breadcrumbs coming through those 2 years. And then this all happened. And he calls me and one of the nights and he was like, I got something to tell you. I'm sure you're going to be shocked by it. And then he told me and I was like, I am speechless. And I'm speechless because it's something that I prayed for, and it's not because I prayed, but it's because of the faith. I know that the Lord was already going to do it, and he built the faith in me for myself, not for Lawson. So I think if you keep, and I would say also living out your life, I lived out and shared my life, and I didn't hide it from him. All the weird things or the hard things or the struggles and the things that I had to rid myself of that could be the enemy want to put shame on, and I wouldn't not allow it by telling Lawson this is what I've been feeling or what I'm trying to give to God because I'm holding on to it. And I think through that in prayer, it's allowed him to see how much it's affected me. And honestly, his response for that last time, I was like, here, try it. If you want to go to this, I have the kids. He's like, I don't want to go, but I know God probably wants me to go. I don't want to go, but I know I should go. And so he just went. And I the whole time I prayed over that night, I was praying the whole time. I was like, Lord, I don't know if he's going to come back thinking that I didn't even know what it was about. I didn't even know what it was like too. So for them, because it was a men's group thing. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know what I just sent him to. I don't know at all. And it was so cool to hear even just the peace that he breathed when he was talking to me after and the joy he experienced that I knew immediately it was the Holy Spirit and that God would did it. God did it. And I'm like, you did it, God. And so there was nothing wrong with him prior. That's not what I'm saying. And there was nothing when I've been praying this that he was he didn't know Jesus. Yeah. He's known Jesus. He's walked with Jesus. We've prayed together. We've fasted together. We've done, taken bread together, wine, communion. We've done seasons of warring together. He believed, he believes in it all. But it was this next step of experiencing God in such a deeper, more powerful way that's oh, I can do this too. Yeah. I get to do this too, not just you. And it was really cool because I've always wanted to be no, you can have it for yourself. Yeah. Too. And you can have authority and you can hear God and you can walk more free in what you're doing and instead of bondage. I understand that feeling of being tied to my own mind. Yeah.
If we really want this for your husband, and it is going to be a little bit of a sacrifice for you, especially if us, we have really young kids or whatever, to be leave the house, but be like, okay, you have this group at 6 p.m., leave at 5, go to Chipotle and get your favorite thing, and then go to your group and hang out and have time, and just like take 3 hours to be out of the house and like have time for yourself. Like, even if like you're not so overwhelmingly stoked about like, whippy, I get to go to Bible study or men's group or whatever, like you will grow in loving it. But like have them be like, I want you to go out, go have dinner, and then go to your men's group. Or like if you have a friend, like you and blah, blah, blah should go get dinner together and then go to group together and just enjoy the night. And you're going to be out of the house and the chaos and this and that. Like incentivize them
like
to want to do it.
Make it easier.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I literally, it was so comical. They were screaming at the time. I'm like, I got this. They'll be fine. Like, I'll be fine. So just go. And it was really cool for him to be able to be like, okay. And now he will leave earlier and earlier and get some alone time before.
Now it's because I'm leading worship and leading the group that I have to leave.
It's great.
And it can all happen, guys.
Yeah.
And you just pray to God, and they start getting impacted by just hearing from God. This is all God. Like, this is like the advice is really trusting God that he can do the good work, that it is not on you, and that he knows your heart too. Like, he knows you want that, and he knows what he wants his daughter to have. And he also knows what he wants for his son to be. So I think it's more unraveling the idea of why you want it so much, and the why, if you're forcing or controlling it, or you're just keep on saying something and you feel naggy about it, there's something there that you need to go to the Lord with, because in the end of the day, God can do all things, and nothing's impossible. Yeah. And Lawson wasn't an impossible person to have these moments, but I did realize he needed to step off the boat too. Like, he needed to do it on his own will in order to experience it for himself.
Yeah, it's going to require sacrifice on both sides of one, like, for me, like, okay, I'm going to take away this time where I could be working or spending time with family or, doing something. It's easy to justify doing something productive or this or that. And then as a wife, like, if you really want that for your husband, it is sacrifice being like, all right, well, normally he would be home from work at this time and it would be nice, but I'm going to tell him to go take, these 2 hours to be gone instead. And so, like, if you really want it to, I feel like that's important to know. It's going to be sacrifice probably of your own mental frustration at home, because, probably not going to find God in the way you're wanting to on their car ride home. You're asking a lot of someone, and I think this goes every direction, of being like, you got 10 minutes on your drive home, hopefully you can find God there. Or when you're at the gym or whatever, it's finding that dedicated time, I think, is really important.
And it's not just like, this is just spending time with God too. So like, there's times where I'm like, I recognize in him that he is in his spirit. Like, I feel and sense that he is off. And so I'm like, why don't you go talk to God? And I got this. And I try to move the noise of the children so that or go outside so that he can just go in. And I'm like, I don't care how long you're in there. He's fallen asleep sometimes, and I'm peacefully through the Lord. Like, I have done that too, where like you go in with so frustrated, and he just has brought peace and had time with God and comes out anew. And like, I do think it's recognizing those things, but that's again something that works, that you have to work with the Lord first to understand, to have spiritual eyes, to see that, your husband is in a battle himself, and being like, you need to just go and take some time with the Lord, or, all those other things, like the sacrifice of that. It's really saying, stop looking at yourself and look at the spiritual world and see like, okay, he needs a space, he needs some time. And it might not even be like, go spend time with the Lord. Why don't you just go sit out on the patio and, do something you love, like play guitar or journal, because God meets us in nature and in places of peace, and just giving him that space. You never know what the Lord is doing within somebody. But it's often more of like, if it feels forced, it is forced. Like, it feels forced for them. They're never going to do no one's going to do anything they don't want to do naturally, any human. So, yeah.
What was the question?
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Okay, the last question I have for both of you to answer is, what do you see in the other that God is doing in them?
Shall we answer it first? I'll answer first
Yeah,
because
you go first.
you have to think about it. I obviously, like, we've talked about it so much that, I really see, I wouldn't even give all of this to power to the enemy for what God is doing here, because I do think I was reading in Psalms, David talking about the refinement of silver and how that you go through. It says, "I've gone through fire and water, Lord. You've brought me through fire and water." So I do believe God is putting Lawson through fire and water to refine him into this calling he has that not many of us have. And so it is the coolest thing to watch and witness and experience and be able to in our marriage see. But I do see God getting you prepped to be able to walk into something that is something you never thought you were going to do, and it's going to be all on him because you trust him. So it's really cool. Obviously, I've talked a lot about it already, so I don't know if you want to expand on that more. But that was how.
But more so specific to than in his identity. Like, how are you seeing him?
I think God's ripping out all these lies and the things that are holding his mind down, and I see it as a transformation, the renewing of your mind to say, oh, I don't have to have an old mindset or habit anymore, and walking him in a new anointing of that. And it's like freedom. I see freedom with him. And, I think it's really cool because identity is so important, and the more you establish it, and I feel like I see his establishing his faster than most. So
that's good. Awesome.
Do you receive that?
Received. Caught it,
Oh,
received
my
it.
goodness.
Put it in my pocket.
Yeah. Caught it, received it, put it in my pocket. What do I see that God's changed in you? I think
Doing or changed?
Changing.
Doing.
Well, first I will say I feel like God has done a ton in you over the past 4 or 5 years in a ton of different ways. But right now, what do I think the Lord is doing in you? I think he is pulling you out of your shell and putting you into places of uncomfortability that you might not want to be in. Like sitting on a chair in front of a microphone, in front of cameras, talking, or writing a book. Those type of things where you are really, really good at getting other people to talk and to getting other people to vomit their guts out to you about their deepest, darkest secrets and everything that's wrong and horrible about their life and everything that's good. And you are able to hear that, receive it, and speak encouragement into them at a one-to-one level. And I think God has plucked you and said, that's enough of that. It's enough of just, mentoring and talking to your friends or the people that you're really close to, because it's really easy for you. It's really safe for you. You're in a place where you're with someone who already loves you. You're with someone who you already love. There's no judgment that's going to be there. And it's easy for you to prophesy over somebody or share the Lord with somebody, whether they already know the Lord or they don't, when it's someone that you already know. I think God is calling you to reach the flocks, reach the masses in a new way that you don't feel totally comfortable in doing. And it started with this, and it's expanding into you working on a book that you've said that you really don't even want to work on, but you feel like the Lord is telling you to do
I
it.
haven't even shared it.
Because guess what? If I don't, no one ever will. And now, even more so, I feel like the Lord is calling you to lead some type of women's group on top of that you have now been working with. And not that that's been put in stone or anything like that, but even before, some phone calls you've had, I felt like, why don't you lead a group? Why don't you do that? And because I think you're really comfortable with sharing this stuff with the people that you know very intimately, and God has been growing you into someone who is going to share it with anyone with ears to hear.
I receive it, but
Put it in your pocket.
Boom, roasted.
lots of little nuggets.
Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that.
Thanks for the questions too. They're
was
really
good.
good. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I think it is hard to. You know me very well. I like to hide, and this is already hard enough to like come and share, not knowing the judgments of others, and I know God's like really called out the fear of man throughout a lot of things. Yeah. Well, it's you're really exposing your real heart out there with stuff, and there's going to be a bunch of people who don't really like you, and that's okay, in the sense of the fact that like you're just not going to always be liked. Like I always think the Lord has been really clear to say that he was not liked. People killed him.
Yeah.
He was perfect. And I'm not. So like as much more that just because I bear his name, I won't be liked. And people might say, what the things that he puts on me, it's just a lot of like my voice being heard out loud. And I mean like out loud. People will be like, she's not afraid to talk. But there's things, I'm usually comfortable talking in people I know.
It's true. I love it.
Word up.
Well, thanks for joining us. Glad that we could just be super honest about everything. But no, I think in the end of the day, I think God is good. And I will say to anybody who is still like single, there was many years I prayed for a husband. I didn't date anyone like Lawson. I didn't date anyone younger than me. And I put a lot of boundaries and rules about what it had to look like, but God knew exactly what I needed.
God said, sorry, best I can do is this guy.
But no, it's like, I am so grateful. There's moments in our marriage that I'm just like, God, you knew I was going to walk. I was going to walk through this, and you knew I needed this man next to me. And so even though I look back, and you asked a lot of questions about in the beginning of our dating and our spiritual walk, I did really go hard in the paint of judgment internally about like, where are we at spiritually and where is he at? And I'm going to tell you, the Lord really knocked me down a good amount of notches of being like, you're not even that perfect. Why are you expecting that? And that was even before dating. This was my life. Like, so I think the biggest thing I would say if you're looking is God has your desires and he knows your heart, but the more you seek him, the more you're going to find what you're looking for, and marriage is not going to always fill that void too. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't have somebody, and that it might look different than what you expected. Mm-hmm. So I learned to not put rules on anything in my life anymore, and never, well, I say never in terms of like, I'm never doing that, or I'm never dating someone younger than me. Cause I used to say that all the time. God will always make me laugh at things that I've said, because it's often he'll make me live it. And I got over it. I don't care. He's 5 years younger than me, and I love him. And he is the perfect like husband for me. And just to know that God knows me so well, like better than I know myself, is a testament to our marriage. Like it shows that by just having us be together and know that.
I love it.
So true. So
That's so believable, Lawson.
Thanks, guys.
Peace out, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.